So I have the Mark 5 Jetta sitting in my shop, and I'm going to do a couple things to it. But one of the things I'm going to do, if you remember, we dressed up the front end using like a GLI style grill. But one of the items I'm going to do to it is actually install the sill covers that also came on a GLI model. So what you'll notice is on the non-GLIs, the sill below the doors, so like the rocker panel, is bare metal. But on the GLIs, they actually have a black textured cover that kind of ties in with the black textured front and rear kind of valance. Even though the GLIs have different valances than this model, but still, kind of you get the idea how it has that black textured kind of line at the back on the back bumper, on the front bumper, but the center is just on bare metal, body color metal. The reason why I'm installing it is, if you'll notice there's some like crease or dent right there. There's actually one on the other side. Those were there when we picked up the car. The other thing you'll notice, if you look closely, is it looks like there's rust. That's not really rust. What that is the metal is covered in like that chip resistant paint, like the textured paint, and it is peeling off. And it peeled off right there. And when it did peel off the metal, there is surface rust there. So what I'm going to do is put this up on the lift, sand off anything that's loose, treat the bare metal with like a rust encapsulator or paint or primer or whatever. But I'm going to treat the bare metal to protect it. And then I'm going to install the OEM GLI covers, pieces of trim. At the time when these were out, Volkswagen dealers themselves had kind of like I think it was a Votex body kit that you could have purchased, which are like super hard to find now, except there are like on eBay, people make like replicas of them, so you could even do that. But I wanted to kind of go with the OEM look of the GLI, which I like, and like kind of kill two birds with one stone. Protect what's going on here before it becomes bad and rusts, and then cover up the dent and everything with the OEM cover. So here are the parts we're installing. I got two OEM brand new sills, or covers, or whatever you want to call these, trim pieces. I purchased these from ECS Tuning, which I love. A couple of things to note: I only bought the actual trim pieces. These are installed with, you can see they kind of have the trim tape, like the 3M emblem tape across the top edge of them. But they also attached with, there was some hardware, some clips, some screws. You can see, right? Like from the bottom side, there's attaching points. ECS has all that hardware. I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use generic like stainless steel hardware to mount these. Any holes I make in the sill, where to mount those, I'm going to treat and make sure they're not raw metal, right, to prevent rusting in the future. ECS has these available as a kit with the hardware. They even have the GLI, like as I mentioned before, front kind of lip in the rear valance that matches these. So it's an expensive kit when you add it all up. So I'm just going with these to kind of and see how they tie in with the non-GLI lines on the the black textured lower section there. That's really it. So now I'm gonna put the car up on the lift and kind of clean and prep the sills, stick these on, and then use some hardware to affix the bottom edge of it. And it really should be that simple. Car's up on the lift, and I want to show you kind of what I'm trying to address. So here you can see there's like a little bit of surface rust. So I'm going to clean all this up, get rid of all this, treat anything that I expose with like a rust encapsulator, and then actually paint this, touch this up with white paint that I have. Then clean the whole sill area as good as I can. Use like a cleaner and then go back over it with rubbing alcohol, clean it, and then I'm going to adhere the trim pieces on and then try to attach them with some sort of stainless hardware across the bottom. But you can see where that rocker was kind of banged in pretty good. So hopefully the sill covers that. And then what you can also see is where the chip resistant coating, this textured stuff, is actually peeling up there. So same thing. I'll grind off anything that's loose, grind off any surface rust, treat any exposed metal, touch up with some white paint, and wait for everything to dry, and then put on the pieces. So I went around, I actually degreased, cleaned the rockers, and I ground off anything that was loose. So I went through and used like one of these rust converters and kind of touched up any metal that I exposed. So I'm gonna let this dry. There's a couple little spots basically. But I'm supposed to wait 20 minutes. This is supposed to like turn black, then do another application of it, let that kind of cure, and let that all cure up. And then I could top coat it. So I'm gonna actually touch this up with white paint. Even though the part covers all this, the part goes up above this actual, kind of comes up to here, and it actually wraps around the edge here too. So you won't see any of this. I'm just doing this kind of for peace of mind and not to have this thing rust from underneath. Because, you know, in theory, that cover could actually trap moisture up against this all the time. So this is just a little bit of protection to prevent any of this from kind of getting out of control. But that's really it. So I'm gonna apply this rust encapsulator, let it cure, and then I'm going to test fit the actual pieces. So the rust converter all cured all around. And then I went in with this black, it's actually another kind of rust converter encapsulator that actually has more like a rubberized finish when it's done. So I painted the entire like edge, this whole edge with it, covered it, and kind of overlapped with the back, kind of like all the way to the pinch weld. So I sprayed that, and then I went in with rubbing alcohol and cleaned the entire surface to get it ready for the adhesive strip that's going to hold everything in place. So here is the part, okay? See, it kind of has like that wing in the back, the little upswept piece. So it wraps around the front edge here of the fender. There's a screw hole in the leading edge of this part, and this hole correlates to this screw, which is holding in the fender liner. So I turned the steering wheel to expose this screw so I could get in here with a T20 Torx, remove this screw, and then I will start adhering this, starting in the front, because that's going to locate it front and back, and then carefully peeling back the adhesive as I work my way back. And the top edge of this basically comes right below the door line. It'll hide all these dents right here and everything, or at least that's the plan, right? And then there's a screw in the back that goes through one of the holes that's already on the part, and I'll show that to you. And then I'm just going to get stainless hardware and put 2 additional screws in these holes here, 1 and 2, and we're done with the part. I mean, it's really that simple. So if your Jetta is in good shape and didn't have any of this rust or damage underneath, I mean, this is just a couple minute install, right? The hardest part was gonna be taking out this, turning the wheel to expose the screw to take it out, to just stick these things on, making sure the surface is clean. So I'm going to do this now. So I'm coming in with the T20. All right, so I'm gonna start the adhesive tape, pulling off the backing, this red backing. Okay, so I'm gonna go back probably 18 inches with it. And slide this under. So I'm gonna come in and use this screw to kind of locate the front of the part. Okay. So it went through the hole, so that's the right height and that's the right fore and aft location for this part. So now I can remove this adhesive tape. The length of the whole part. There's another Torx down here, which I'm going to remove, and I'll show you it in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to stick it. There it is. So there it is. I used the other T20 that's in the bottom there to locate that end. So now these are connected. I'm going to just push on this edge to get that adhesive tape to really stick. So that's adhered. There's 2 tabs underneath for mounting points with like some sort of screw. So what I'm going to use are these stainless screws like this, like these button screws with these washers. So I'm going to pop 2 of these in those factory locations and call it done. So I attached it with I put 1 screw in the center. The other screw needs to go in this tab, which is right here, which my lift is right in the way. So I'm gonna put the car down and try to do it from while it's on the ground. So here's the final product on a gloomy day. The car is filthy, but you can see that that little side skirt really ties in the front and rear valances, even though they're non-GLI valances. And it just cleans up that whole sill area. So it's a pretty good looking side skirt. I'm very happy with it. I think this car needs some wheels to just kind of finish it off. If you like this video, please click the like button below and subscribe to this channel.